Space Museum. I'm pretty excited to be here today, and I hope you are too. We have, I believe, 6 teams that are going to present today from all over the country about some robotics projects that they've been working on. So I'm very interested to see what kind of technology they're dealing with and how they're going to affect the future of robotics and us as citizens of this country. It ought to be a pretty interesting 10 to 15 years. Some of the robotics that you'll see today move around in the air, some on land and some in the water. So it's going to be a varied experience, I think, today. Oh, and I should mention that all of the robots you see today are available in our store. I'm kidding, I think. But we do have robots for sale in the store. Anyway, the first team that's going to be presenting today is from the Robotics Inventors Club. They're all members, or all of the members of this club are former graduates of the infamous robotics program. And today they'll spend a little bit of time talking about an autonomous robot they've developed to help the blind. So let's welcome the Robotics Inventors Club.
Thank you. My name is Anthony. I'm the CEO of Infamous Robotics. We have developed a very unique way to teach children about robotics, a way that really takes them outside of the box, to allow them to use their own imagination to create their own ideas. Because kids have great imaginations. We just need to give them the knowledge and tools necessary to be able to make those come true. And that's what we've done here at Infamous Robotics. And I'm very proud. This is a historic moment for the youngest group ever to have built a robot from just a sentence on a paper all the way through a working prototype at their age and present here inside the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to the Robotics Inventors Club.
Hello, I'm Karthik, and I was part of the Robotics Inventors Club. We worked on the robot called RV to help the blind people and go through a market. So RV stands for Autonomous Robot for the Visually Impaired. RV has 5 sensors on the bottom to help it track a line to a store and help it read a barcode. RV started out as an idea on a paper, and we voted which robot we wanted, so we voted for RV. Now we'll talk a little bit about the different groups we worked in.
So my name is Kevon, and I was in the electrical engineering group, and there were 3 groups. It was mechanical, software, and electrical. So basically my role in the electrical group was to build on the circuits and have the sensors wired, the breadboard, the motor controller, all of that. And there were, for the code, there were 3 different systems, which was the location system, the tracking system, and the drive system. And before we had 11 sensors, but we had to cut it down to 5 because we could not put enough pins for the Arduino.
I'm Olivia, and I'm also part of the electrical engineers. So we direct and making sure that the motors are all hooked up and are working with the sensors and the piezo buzzer, which is what we use to let the visually impaired people know which aisle they're in.
My name is Alex, and I'm a member of the mechanical engineers team. One of our major tasks was the structure of the robot, and that was really hard because we had to make some adjustments to our drawings. But when we finished with that, we made a scale model which showed that our design and structure was what we wanted.
Hi, I worked on the software. I was originally on the mechanical team, but I also worked on the software part of this project. So we have over 200 lines of code on this robot, which is a lot. So basically the first part of this robot is to follow the line. There's two sensors that can follow the line. So if one sensor sees the line, that means it'll turn, so none of the sensors see the line. Then there's two sensors to read a barcode. Those two sensors are basically, if there's tape, they'll read it and they'll beep. So then there's the last sensor, which is a trigger. The trigger basically detects if there's tape on the floor, and if there is, it'll stop. It'll read the barcodes, and depending what the barcode is, there's a buzzer on top of the robot, which will beep a certain number of times. So if it's on aisle 2, it'll beep twice. Our code keeps on checking if the trigger is hit or not, so it has a bunch of loops in it, and yeah, that's basically our code.
That it was going to actually help visually impaired people move through the aisles in a grocery store.
So, in this demo, the robot is moving on the black line, and when it stops, it hit the line, and it's beeping twice to let you know that it's in aisle 2.
Thank you.
Why don't you guys come up here a little bit more so they can see you?
Because I just like seeing how things work, and I like building things and inventing things. That's pretty much why.
Do you take things apart?
It depends. If it doesn't work, yeah, but if it doesn't
If it works, you don't take it apart because the parents might get a little upset, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you guys describe, I heard somebody mention the engineering process. Can you describe in a little more detail what the engineering process involves?
So, we first had an idea on a piece of paper, then we built a to-scale model, then we were working on our wiring and our code and the structure, and then we put them all together to get our prototype.
And is that generally how engineers work?
Yes.
Okay. So how do you learn how to do all of this engineering and programming stuff?
Well, we took 2 summer camps last year. We learned how to write code, we learned how to build a circuit, and we learned what you need to do to choose the parts of a robot and stuff.
And this was all part of the infamous robotics program?
Yeah, it was the infamous robotics summer
Okay.
camps.
Now, how do you get chosen for the different teams? Like mechanical engineering, electrical, stuff like that, programming?
We basically put ourselves into groups, so what we wanted to be, we would try and fit ourselves into that group, and it was kind of mixed up at some point, so it was hard sometimes.
Okay. And so where do you guys plan on going to school? What do you plan on doing with this knowledge? You going to be engineers when you grow up?
So, yeah, well, I want to be an engineer when I grow up. I want to go to MIT.
MIT?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, MIT has the most astronauts.
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Anyone else? Got a school picked out? No?
So, I want to go to Bradley University because that's where my mom and dad went, and I really enjoyed seeing the campus when we went there.
Okay. All right. Let's hear it for the Robotics Inventors Club.